Bye. Oh no, I'm good.
Okay, welcome to Surfline Live. Probably been tuning in for a little bit. I was stuck in puddles on Highway 12. Here with Kurtz, lead forecaster. How you doing, Kurt? What's going on?
This is amazing. The surf is pumping, and the guys are getting some good ones. So yeah, Jose,
okay, I saw Dana Quinn, saw Fisher Heverly, Brett Barley, Quentin Turco. Who else is out there?
I saw Brett, obviously. Saw Jesse walking down the beach, Jesse Hines, and yeah, I don't know. You're the man. You know everybody.
I'm the man. Well, Jesse Hines, obviously. Is there any other Jesse in the universe? Not in my mind. Kind of reminiscent of the original Battle of the Banks, possibly.
Yeah, that was more of a nor'easter style deal, but I mean, yeah, just very similar look to that original one. That was actually done up in Merlot. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, but very reminiscent of that. Just you're not scoring points with turns, that's for sure.
And there's waves everywhere, all up and down the beach. Brad Beach down there, rep extraordinaire from Virginia Beach. I know the VB guys are here in full force.
I saw several different states represented as we drove through that stretch. Saw some Florida, looked like a couple guys maybe from up north, Virginia, and of course a lot of OBX plates too. So
this is it, man. Classic Outer Banks, our favorite swell direction for sure. The south swells kind of have to have everything right, the right period, and sometimes they end up a little bit drifty. But with it seems like with northeast swells like this, you know, not everything has to be just perfect, you know. It'll be good when all the factors are kind of not perfectly aligned.
Yeah, it does seem like those souths are, you know, maybe a little bit more harder to forecast, definitely on my end. And they are maybe a little more finicky. You know, it seems like it's a lot driftier a lot of times, and it's kind of hard to get the right one. But as a regular foot, that's definitely what I'm looking for. You know, with the northeast swells, the goofy footers love it. You can see why. I mean, some of these last rifling down the beach are just nuts.
There's a lot more north in this than I thought.
Yes, the swell direction on the Oregon Inlet buoy this morning was north-northeast, around 8 feet at 11 seconds, and that's kind of right in our honey hole. We get longer period than that, and you know, you worry about closeouts and all that kind of stuff. Some of the outer bars turning on, it really is not what you want. You want it to sneak out from underneath that outside. Occasionally here you'll see some of them crumble, and that's really not what you want. You want them to sneak past that outer bar and then just detonate and double up here on the inside. And that's what we're seeing.
God, it's just cooking out here today. A little bit overhead, just a straight bonanza. We have kind of all the players stacked up over there, but it looks like there's so many waves to go around. And even here on the inside, there's just waves blowing their guts out, and really nobody even sitting there.
Yes, we've seen some down here towards the end. There's kind of been a rip a little bit right out in front, and on the other side of that, there's definitely some square ones, and no one's really sitting over there. But then again, you look up the beach and you see what's happening up there, and you realize maybe why no one's sitting down there.
All right, we got somebody up, possibly Brett, possibly Fisher. Do have a little kind of morning glare. Everybody's just kind of a black dot with limbs. But again,
Dallas?
That might have been Dallas Tolson, Hatteras native. Yeah, Dallas is as hardcore as they come around here, man. He surfs anything, everything. He's always frothing out of his skin. He just got back from the Belmar Pro where he did pretty good. He got the first major tube of that contest. I'm not sure how far he went, maybe the quarters. But, yeah, man, everybody loves Dallas around here, man. He's just a beacon of positivity. Not a really great guy to call for a surf report because it's always pumping in his mind. But, yeah, man, his enthusiasm is always a welcome treat. So, yeah, good one, Dilly Dow. You're on the board, buddy.
He also posts very good food photos.
Is that his thing now?
Delicious breakfasts.
Well, I know he got his license back, so he'll probably be venturing a little bit further than Hatteras. All right, up the beach. Like could be Dana Quinn. Oh, I'm so stoked Dana's out here, man. That's my boy right there. He can do no wrong in my book. He's the real deal. Not super sponsored, but just chases it all over the world. Does solo trips to Chile and Peru, and he's kind of dumbing it all, and he works hard. All right, it's good to see the boogies getting some. The bodyboarders are a real intrinsic part of the culture around here. We don't really make a distinction in the Outer Banks between boogie boarders and short boarders. SUP's kind of on the fence. Oh, backsider. Drilling in, pulling it up. All right, Fisher's up on a doozy. He's going to run away from him. Yeah, I'm sure Fisher's already packed quite a few good ones this morning, huh?
Yeah, he got a good one kind of right out in front here, probably 20 or 30 minutes ago.
Like a double barrel or something?
I believe so.
That's right. I was reading my text and driving at the same time. Muy peligroso. Don't do it. Especially when there's 3 feet of water on Highway 12. Be kind of embarrassing. You get in a car wreck with my phone in my hand. After I tell my girlfriend all the time, don't text and drive, baby. It's very dangerous. I want to thank Quentin Turco for waking me up this morning because I was chilling. 5 a.m. Sleeping like a baby. Quentin's like, what's up? Where's the live going down, Pruitt? We got a pig dogger up there pulling it up. Oh, he's coming out of that one. Yes, sirree. This is it, man. This is cooking Hatteras right here. I like lefts better. I'm a regular foot, but I like lefts better. Something about being short and grabbing a rail makes you look a lot more competent than you actually are, you know? You can, like, pull it off a little better. And front side, you got to have, like, your style right. The back leg cocked, like, double hand drag, arm bar, looking all, like, swift and cool. They can see your expression. Backside, it's just like you're taking a dump, only you're on a surfboard. And, yeah, that's my style. Look at way down the beach. How's that? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, man. Yeah, this is why we stay here. Why we don't chase other opportunities inland, and why we don't move away. You live here long enough, you're going to get barreled on the regular. On any type of watercraft, really. It's nice having this vantage point. The last time we did a live, it was a little challenging being a left-hand point and all. The glare, and couldn't really get the angle into the waves, but this is what you want to see. It doesn't really hide the compression, you know? You can really see the thickness. You know, it doesn't do super big here, the East Coast Beach Break, but it makes up for in compression and thickness. Stand-up barrel, packed it, close it. I think that was Oliver Kurtz standing straight up in a hopeless closeout. It's good to have him here on the Outer Banks. He's either up from South Florida or over from Southern California. I'm not sure where he's living these days, but that guy's all over the place. Kind of got that Skeleton Bay dream team out there with Andrew Jacobson and Oliver Kurtz and Brett Barley. They all scored Namibia together, and now they're scoring Brett's hometown together. I think Andrew's still here. Is he still in town? Andrew Jacobson. way down the beach. I just talked to my buddies in town, Nigel Haynes and Craig Watson. They were wondering what's going on. Said town's still a little unruly with the slight northwest wind, so I told them to get down here. So hopefully they'll be rolling up in a few. Craig, if you're cleaning swimming pools, maybe put it off till a little later. Those pools can clean themselves. Those filters can change themselves. Those bugs can fly off on their own. Well, yeah, it's definitely on. You can see the recent beach renourishment here. North Buxton.
Yeah, Pro, you can actually see out in the lineup that thing that's bobbing up and down out there is actually one of the things they hook up to and pump the sand. So the hotel that we're at right now, or the motel, is usually threatened, and you've probably seen the sandbags and stuff and the waves crashing off of this. I know Daniel Pullen, a guy down here, posts a lot of photos and videos of that. But they recently replenished the beach, and even though they had a little overwash the other day, it definitely managed a lot better than it would have if all this sand wasn't in front of us here. And we've been adding a lot of sand here because by us in Kill Devil Hills and Kitty Hawk and up through Duck, we're doing a beach replenishment up there, and it's made some pretty interesting sand setups for sure. I know you have partaken in some of that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here because we recently had a high tide just after 8. So sometimes when you have surf this size, right around the change in tide, you can kind of get some of these weird rips and stuff that, you know, kind of give it a weirdness for a few minutes, and then it'll try to figure out exactly what it wants to do and then turn back on. But this is definitely the stretch. I mean, it really doesn't get too much better than this.
Yeah, I'm sure some of our more entrenched, older, angrier rednecks would beg to differ. Oh, I should have seen it in 1989 when the Beaufort swell of 2000. But you're right, you know, I mean, as far as conditions and cleanliness and just sheer amount of waves, and some of these ones gushing their faces off 2 foot overhead, and I wouldn't want it any bigger. Oh, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun today, man. I've been here for what, 2 minutes, and I've already seen 4 guys get blown out. That's a signs of a pretty good day. It looks like we got a big set out the back. It's going to be interesting to see where it hits this recently nourished sandbar and folds. And it's a pretty wide playing field. You know, it's not really that crowded for what people deem crowded these days. I'm just waiting for my boy Dana to pack a sickie. There's somebody super late going down. Dana, where are you? Wave to me, buddy. Look at how this one's just bending out to sea, but luckily with all these kind of roping lefts, guys are going to be walking past us. We'll be able to kind of tell who they are once they do a drift. God, just the wind doesn't get any better, does it?
Yeah, this is basically a perfect wind here. I know Matt mentioned earlier how up in town was kind of a little weird, and you know, you think of the Outer Banks as being relatively straight, you know, north-south, but it's really not. You know, up north of Rodanthe, we face kind of east-northeast, and down here you face kind of east-southeast, and you know, so it allows for a bunch of different combinations with swell and wind, and you know, the spot that we did live a couple of days ago was basically a whole nother realm of, you know, possibilities for us. So it's definitely a very unique stretch of sand we got here, and you know, this is the reason a lot of people live here, move here, clean pools, work their tails off all summer. So when fall comes and the storms start bringing swell like this, you know, we can drop everything on a Wednesday or whatever it is and spend all day getting barreled with your friends.
Yeah, speaking of seasonal work, you said Jesse Hines is out here. Jesse, one of our more esteemed pro surfers in Outer Banks history. Been on the cover of pretty much every major print mag when getting the cover of every major print mag was a big deal. It's kind of a different world now. But and Jesse's a co-owner with his wife Whitney of Surf and Spoon Frozen Yogurt up in town. Check him out, Nag's Head. And Jesse's, doesn't matter who comes to town, Jesse always kind of stands out. You could have Kelly Slater here and Jesse would get a sick barrel. That's right, I said it. Sicker than you, champ. But we love our guys. We haven't had too many pro surfers in our history, and but the ones that have made it have all been really great guys, really good role models, travel well, nice people, and they transition out of pro surfing really, really well with a lot of dignity, and they're all leading good lives, great families. Unfortunately, Matt Beecham's not living here anymore. He's over in Hawaii, and Billy Hume's not living here anymore. He's up in Jersey. Speaking of which, Billy Hume, what do you think's going on for him up in Jersey today?
Yeah, they're dealing with a little bit of kind of a side offshore wind. I think central and northern New Jersey got northwest winds, which is kind of a side off deal. But those winds should be improving some, and the southern part of the state seeing waves. And I don't know if you got a chance to see Long Island yesterday, but it was very, very good. And it's also very, very good today, even though eastern Long Island's a little windy because of Jose.
Looks like we just had Brett up there on that last one. I believe it was Brett. Nah, sorry, Brett, wasn't you. You know what? This isn't a perfect science, so I will say this sandbar is nice and flat. This is some flat sand. It is, Brett. I was right. Suck it, reality. That's our boy. Our #1 guy, Brett Barley. Hometown hero. What's he riding there? Super Pig Dog, maybe? A lot of volume up in the front. Looks like got a pintail. Long sleeve spring, bringing back 1994. I like it.
It's not like we can just get Strider to go look at the locker and see what's in there. You know, we got to yell down at him and see what he's riding. But yeah, here.
Nobody ever gives me access to a locker room either, or a wave pool, or a surf trip. I don't need access here though, Kurt. Look at this one. Crazy grower. Oh! Look how thick that thing is. Oh, blew its brains out. I am so glad Mark Beatty's finally getting to see what we have to offer here, Kurt. Oh. Yeah, it's firing. It is totally firing here in Buxton. You know, it doesn't look that gnarly out there. It just looks perfect. I mean, as far as, you know, you mentioned Battle of the Banks. I remember that was like barely holding it, almost breaking on the second bar and washing through. This is just so groomed and streamlined and pretty much all lefts.
Yeah, I can say, sitting up here in the third story of this hotel, it looks pretty perfect. I don't know how I would do if I was out there trying to pick some off, though.
Well, not with your knee. What happened? You messed up your knee? Is that right?
Yes. I had the unfortunate luck of hurting my knee right at the end of August, right before the best part of the year usually. So, but don't worry, I've been sitting in front of the computer forecasting so everybody else can get waves.
That's right. That's what we do. The men behind the scenes, the grunts in the trench, testing the mustard gas before it goes out to the masses. If you're just joining us now, reporting from Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, this is Surfline Live, here with Mark Beatty, our tried and true video editor, and Kurtz, Outer Banks-based lead forecaster. And I'm just a person living on a planet with other people. See what I did there, Bill? And yeah, you know, this fall we haven't. Jesse Hines pulling it up. Yeah, not only of this season have we been benefiting from, you know, all the right swells, but we've also just got all this fresh sand, beach nourishment, all the way from Duck to Buxton, and it's been a treat. It's kind of kept everybody busy, searching around. Spots that haven't done it in 10, 15 years are starting to turn on again, and everybody's getting a little creepy, a little inventive, finding their stretch of sand, and it's just been kind of a bonanza for everybody, whether they're here for the Outer Banks Pro, the ESA Easterns that's currently going on. You know who else is in town? Dick Meserol, co-owner and photo editor of Eastern Surf Magazine, my old mentor and boss. And this guy right here in the blue shorts, Chad Speedy, won our Surfline Ride of the Week a few weeks back for the Hurricane Gert swell. Say hi to the world, Chad. It's classic Outer Banks underground right there. Oh, backside. Who is this guy? Man, good luck with this video edit, Beatty. Whew. Edit? Yeah, we might have to contract that one out. Here's the footage, Jeff O'Neill. Do something with it. But yeah, like I was saying, been chatting with Mez. I put him on it, sent him a text, told him where we were this morning. I know he's probably busy shooting some heats for the Easterns, but he's been hanging with Rob Kelly, going down to Frisco on the big days and trying to get some work done. So it's good to see you, Mez. Great job with that magazine. All right, we got a bomb out the back here. Who's in position? Jesse? Big. That was Quentin Turco from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Taking it super late. Free falling at the bottom and getting dealt. Good attempt there, buddy. Meanwhile, out the back. It is absolutely cooking here today in Hatteras.
Yeah, it is, and you know, we want to really send our best wishes out to everyone that's down in the Caribbean right now. You know, with Irma and now Maria, you know, making landfall in Puerto Rico today. You know, you sit here and you look at this and you realize that, you know, how thankful we are that Jose stayed offshore for us here, and you know, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody down there, and you know, Benny's down there, St. Croix, you know, with the waves for water stuff, and you know, we hope the best for them, and you know, once this all clears out, we'll do what we can to push them on the way to a speedy recovery, because it's you know, landfalling Category 4 hurricane is nothing to shake a stick at. So yeah, we just we're thinking of everybody down there, and thankful for what we have here. So, got somebody up here. Let's slide into that thing. There's definitely a few coming off this end section here that are pretty square. You can see that. Oh, those little, you know, sometimes you you know, those come in like that and they kind of try to shift underneath you, and your arms get a little short when you're paddling. You know what I mean? You know, get those alligator arms really quick, like when that big check comes at dinner. Can't quite reach it. So definitely a little bit of that, but some guys certainly charging like Quentin a couple minutes ago on that one. Didn't really have a chance, but when all the boys are out, you kind of got to do it. Take one for the team. So it's good to see as the tide's starting to drop now. It's still some really good ones. I would suspect that as that happens, our peak's going to shift a little bit, maybe from up the beach there to maybe a little bit further down here, and but definitely no shortage of swell. We got somebody up, not quite to their feet. Sorry about that. I'm no Matt Pruitt when it comes to commentary. I don't have those obscure 80s movies quotes in my back pocket like he does.
Looks like I see my friend Zach Badouin from Granby Street, Norfolk. He's out there packing a few. He'll be easy to notice. He's got that full suit on.
Yeah, so this is again from Jose, which was a hurricane as it passed east of us over the past 24 hours, and it's since weakened into a tropical storm. It's up to our northeast, and that's what's sending this swell down to us. It's currently off the northeast coastline, and as of this morning, it had 55 knot winds. So definitely down from where it was. At one point, it actually had 155 mile-an-hour winds as it passed through the northeast of the Leeward Islands. So definitely weakened since then, but it is definitely kind of in the honey hole to send us that northeast swell, and it's actually going to sit there for a few days, which is just going to pump swell down to us in the mid-Atlantic and parts of New England here over the next couple of days. And no shortage of swell, so our biggest thing is going to be our local winds and weather things. Dana Quinn, there you go. Whether things are going to be able to stay this clean, as we always worry about a north wind coming up. So. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. That might be Fisher there. I think it was. Maybe.
Charlie Buxton. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've seen a lot of friends down here today, Kurt. You know me, I'm always pulling for the local guys when the stars come to town. Just all about the underdog. Gets his 5 good ones and goes to work. Nobody even knows he's out there, just misto. Those are the guys I like to give love to, if at all possible. And a big grower out here, Pig Dogs pulling it up. I need to know who these regular foots are, man, because there's some good ones. Who are these guys? What, they come to town, they don't bring me a cup of coffee or any combustible plant matter. They just kind of come, get their waves, and split. Thanks, dudes. I'm just kidding. It's a big ocean, and it's there for everybody. A lot of waves. You can 70 miles of beach break. But I know Bretton's been doing the scouting since early this morning, and this was hands down the best spot him and Beatty found. I don't think anybody out there is complaining. I just see smiles galore from the guys on the beach. I can't see what they're doing in the water. They could be gritting their teeth. Already seen some really solid tube rides, equally solid beatings. And the lineup's kind of starting to spread out a little bit. It's not one distinct peak anymore. I think guys kind of caught on to this grower down here to the south. Dilly down! Dallas Tolson, Hatteras native, picking the trash out of his feet. Has there been a Noah Snyder sighting this morning? Has there? Want to give a big thank you to O'Neill, the sponsor of this Surfline Live, for making this event possible. We don't do too many of these. We try to wait for special conditions. I'm out of here. Oh, you tore my car. Break your face, brah. Oh, you know, Troy need a shocker, you know, that when it matter.
Yeah, I think they are actually going to bulldoze the parking lot there because they got a bunch of sand. That newly replenished sand got pushed into the parking lot last night by the swell, so I'm moving the cars out of the parking lot here. Thank goodness they did do that sand because it's made a pretty flat, epic sandbar here and protected this lovely hotel for at least a few more days. Yeah. It's one way down the beach there. Oh, that was a good one. Is that Oliver again? Oliver is having a day. It's only just begun. 9 a.m. East Coast time. We're here, Surfline Live, Matt Pruitt, Mark Beatty, myself, Kirk Corte, on the injured reserve, but happy to be here talking about this swell from Jose. Producing some pumping surf. The buoy offshore, it's about 8 feet at 11 seconds out of the northeast, and that's being groomed by some west-northwest winds here down in Cape Hatteras. Oh, how was that drop? Wow. Yeah, so it's all coming together here. A lot of times on the Outer Banks, you'll have the right swell, you'll have the right wind, but the sand will be a little weird or some variable, whether it's the tide or something just doesn't quite happen. But today it is definitely all coming together, and we got the full combination.
Look like we have Stevie Pittman here, that regular foot, who is getting all the good ones. No-handed backside barrels, and he just packed another sickie. It's Stevie Pittman. I saw the Hurley emblem on the right leg, and I tried to think, who around here search for Hurley? I know I don't think Mike Dunphy's in town. Maybe he is. But it makes sense. I remember going on a surf trip to Ecuador for ESM with Stevie when he was 10 years old, and so yeah, he blew our minds, man. It's this little kid throwing these big reverses, and I think it's safe to say he's lived up to everybody's expectations, doing really well in the competitive circuit and the free surfing realm. So, yeah, good to see you, Stevie. Tell Chester I said what's up.
And my brother actually ran into Chester and Stevie probably a decade or so ago in El Salvador, and my brother was paddling out at Punta Roca, and this little kid was paddling out. It was pretty good. My brother was like, you sure you can make it out here? Can you handle it? And then he caught a wave, and it was obvious that maybe he should have been asking my brother that same question.
You know, I don't want to make any false claims and say this is the best day of the fall, because there's been so many good days. And it kind of depends who you ask, but this is a pretty good setup. I know that potential tropical cyclone 10 just kind of turned on everywhere. The entire Outer Banks was pumping from that swell. But this is all right. Shut up, Nathan Loudermilk. Straight up. Crowd hour spots. I've been surfing here 30 years, bud. Who are you? You know what? Don't even show me the comments, guys. I don't even want to see it. I'm going to get upset. I'm going to flip out. It's my day off. I'm not even surfing. Seriously. Where's the love? You know? Crowd hour spots. I'm pretty sure it was crowded before we went live today. And it's not even that crowded. Good grief. I'm the wrong guy for this job. I'm telling you that right now. I don't respond well to intimidation. Oh, gushers. Out the back, just a perfect round one. Oliver Kurtz, big wrap. Yeah, Kurt, don't show me any more comments, man. I'm good. I'm gonna flip out.
You need any coffee or anything, Pruitt? You doing all right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there's...
Don't take it personally.
Everybody knows I'm an emotional cat, man. I'm not gonna... Miles of empty waves. Good grief. Look at these growers down the beach. Got Jeffrey O'Neill down there doing good work. It's been a long time since we've had a full-time filmer here on the Outer Banks, pretty much since the days of Nick McLean in the early 2000s when he was putting together his opus Noah's Ark. And now we got Jeffrey O'Neill, who's been really diligent about capturing great swells, putting together good edits, works at Real Water Sports as well, and he's just an all-around good dude. Can't say enough good things about that kid, man. So yeah, thanks for everything you do, Jeffrey O'Neill. Love your work. Appreciate the submissions. And we got somebody pulling it up, Pig Dog. Nice, easy in and out. on an incredibly long one. Nice. I think that might have been my buddy Zach from Granby Street. It's not easy to be a surfer when you live in downtown Norfolk. But Zach makes it happen. Goes that extra mile, literally. And guys are just soul arching into the pit, as you can see. And another. Who do we got? They're definitely going fast. And it looks like we got Fisher Heverly here in town with us. Really good to see him. Fisher's always a standout on the big days, the good days, even the bad days. He's just always a standout. I've always called him one of the more underrated pros on the East Coast. I love his surfing, man. He has the full gamut. High performance surfing, strong tube riding, performs well in Hawaii. It's nice we have a little bit of sun today too, Kurt. What's the weather looking like for the rest of the day?
It's going to be a great fall day here on the Outer Banks. Northwest to west northwest winds. And you got a little bit of cloud cover right now, but air temps are going to get into the 70s. Water temperature is between 75 and 77, right around in there. Yeah, just a great combination. Pretty much exactly what you asked for in September. It's not very crowded on the roads. A lot of the out-of-towners are gone, back to school, back to work. And, yeah, it's just going to be a really, really great day of waves, great day of weather. It's a beautiful fall day on the Outer Banks here. Today is the official day of fall, isn't it? First day of fall? September 20th? 21st? One of those. That was a good one right there. But yeah, just check the buoy, Oregon Inlet buoy, which is located a little north of us and obviously out in the ocean. And it's reading around 8 feet at 11 seconds out of the northeast. And you can see exactly what that's doing here on our nice stretch of sand, producing some rifling lefts down the beach. And actually not too much current. You know, a lot of times here when we get these swells, it's just a constant paddle to try to be in the right spot. But as you can see here, we're kind of spread out from where we are. And I mean, we're seeing waves a half mile up the beach that look just as good as what we have out front. So nice and spread out. And, you know, the peaks are kind of hitting all through here. It's just kind of being in the right spot when it does. It almost seems like it's getting maybe a little more hollow with the dropping tide. So we'll see how that plays out. It's always a worry that you're going to get a little too drained and kind of doubled up and stuff here, but we have a ways to go before that might happen. So.
It looks like we got a broken board, Kurt. Bound to happen sooner or later. Is it dumping as hard as it is? You know, from here, Kurt, it just looks like everybody's playing nice. You know, it looks like everybody's getting good waves. I don't see too many paddle battles. Just I better not see any stink eyes. Like I said, I'll freak out. But it looks like just a good vibe, you know, a lot of good waves, and everybody's kind of not taking off on any stupid stuff, you know. You can kind of tell who's in the spot, who's going, and you know, that's how we like it around here, you know. It's etiquette is sometimes it feels like an antiquated concept these days, but it's still alive and well in my mind. I understand surfing's pretty inherently narcissistic and individual glory, but all it takes is one, and it's pretty easy to share. It really is. And our video guy's going to take a quick bathroom break. Mark Beatty's human, just like the rest of us. But you know, Kurt, even aside from this prime zone, I mean, I'm seeing waves detonate quarter mile up the beach, quarter mile down the beach. And it seems like just the energy of the waves, the swell, and the little bit of drift that we do have operating on this flat sand is keeping everybody pretty spread out and playing nice.
Yeah, definitely. You know, kind of this whole stretch that they've renourished today is really holding the swell direction and the wind and everything just perfectly. Just enough of that angle out of the northeast to kind of open up those lefts enough, but not too much where it's, you know, kind of down the beach. It's squaring up pretty good, obviously, as we've seen some of these barrels pretty wide open. So, yeah, you know, it's definitely a magical stretch down here. And, you know, today it might be here, and tomorrow it might be Pea Island, and the day after that it might be some crazy island that may never show up again. You know, it shifts and it changes, and yeah, you got to constantly be on it. You know, you talk to Brett, and he's always checking the surf everywhere. So we'll be right back. We're going to change out the battery and give everybody a pep talk, and here we go.
Okay, if you're just joining us, this is Surfline Live, reporting from Cape Hatteras. My name is Matt Pruitt. I'm here with Kurt Corte and Mark Beatty. And just for everybody's information, I'm not an official employee of Surfline, so nothing I say should be attributed to them. I'm kind of a mercenary. Oh, we just got thickies galore. Oh my God. That wave just chewed up 2 people and it's still going. Blew its guts out, as waves like that tend to do. But yeah, I don't speak for Surfline. I just speak for myself and the common sentiment of the nameless, faceless proletariat. The hoi polloi, if you will. The everyman. So yeah, if you don't like what I say, it's all me. Don't blame Surfline. Come talk to me, and I'll ignore you in person.
So the swell that we have here today is from Jose. The system passed a couple 100 miles off our coast. We had some pretty strong north winds yesterday. Didn't quite come together for us down here or up in town. Yesterday was really good up in Long Island with those northerly winds, and it's good up there again today. And we have some northwest to west northwest winds. Sun's popping out. It's getting a little warm, and pumping northeast swell around 8 feet at 11 seconds on the closest buoy that we have, the Oregon Inlet buoy, 44095. And also want to send a another thoughts and prayers out to our friends down in the Caribbean. The spots in the northeast Leeward Islands that got hit by Irma, and also those that are under the gun with Maria today. We sit here and we really appreciate what hurricanes do, and a lot of us that's why we got interested in weather or surfing on the East Coast is hurricanes. John Hope and all, watching the 50 minutes after the hour tropical update and all that kind of stuff, and then you see some of the devastation that can occur, and it really strikes home with just how powerful these things can be, and how destructive, and our thoughts are really with all those that are impacted, our friends and family down there, and I hope everybody comes out all right on the other side of this. But here it's still stacking up on the horizon. No shortage of swell, nice and consistent surf. We like to see that 11-second period, because around here with the sandbars, even as good as this one seems to be at the moment, you get much period, you get much more than 11 or 12 seconds. Kind of start breaking on that outer sandbar out there. You can see some of these trying to feather as the tide starts to drop, but really we want kind of the mid-period stuff, because that hits our sandbars. You have fewer closeouts, and when it drags on that outer bar, you tend to get a lot of double ups and wash throughs, and just not quite as good. The quality just isn't there. So this is kind of right in our honey hole. This is what we like here. Good swell direction, good period, good size, and then obviously combined with the offshore winds and the sandbar, all the variables are kind of coming together through this whole stretch. So, and the guys are charging. It's easy to just look at surf and appreciate it, but it's nice to see a couple guys get barreled too, and gals. Don't forget about them.
Yeah, personally, Kurt, I'm ready to tie this hurricane season off, man. Enough is enough. Waves or no waves, it's just, it's ruining too many lives. So our hearts and prayers go out to Ben Bourgeois and John Rose, Otto Flores, Dylan Graves, and Jimmy Wilson, who are posted up in St. Croix helping with Waves for Water. And they're dealing with a direct hit from Hurricane Maria. So I'm sure the boys are prepared and ready to get to work after this thing passes them over. Or passes over them, I should say. Right over them. And we got some of that weird morning glare. Yeah, it's a scene here today in Buxton. There's a lot of people in town for the ESA Easterns, all their entourages and families and friends and parents and filmers and shooters and managers. And there's still plenty to go around. Obviously, the locals are getting their prime cuts. And we got a bodyboarder up, free falling into one. Just straight grower. Oh, yeah. Beatty, you don't get over east too much. What do you think about today?
It's amazing.
You heard it. Mark Beatty's seen it all. Sees it all every year. Best swells, best spots, and the fact that he's impressed with what we have to offer here on the Outer Banks, it speaks volumes.
So I do have the latest on Hurricane Maria. It's passing west-southwest of San Juan. As of 9 a.m., it was 15 miles west-southwest of San Juan with maximum winds of 145 miles an hour. It's moving towards the northwest at 13. So, again, I saw some early data on some of the rainfall that's occurring. They got rainforest down there in Puerto Rico, and some pretty absurd amount of precipitation. Not quite, on the Hurricane Harvey level, but orographically induced and exacerbated a little bit by some of those mountains down there. You have some 100 or 1,000 meter high mountains there, and you get the upsloping winds. You can get some really heavy rainfall. So landslides, are a big worry on top of the fact that it's blowing, peak winds of 145 miles an hour. So really scary situation for Puerto Rico right now, and the Virgin Islands. The one thing you got to remember is a hurricane is not a single dot. It extends out hundreds of miles in either direction. So just because the eye doesn't go directly over your house doesn't mean, that you're okay 100, 200 miles away. So thoughts are with the Virgin Islands and those in Puerto Rico, and hope to see, later today and tomorrow that everyone came out on the other side with everything intact, life and property. So you can see one out the back here as this tide starts to drop. We're getting a few of those that are trying to kind of feather out there. Those outer bars are, good for a hotel like this because that breaks down some of the swell energy as it comes in. But, for surfers, we kind of would rather it sneak over top of that and kind of just detonate here on the inside rather than losing some of the energy on the outer sandbar there. We got Oliver Kurtz walking down the beach here, doing another lap. He's been getting some good ones today. So look at this thing. That looks like Dallas. One's going to shut down on him. Kurt, what do you think? What's your experience in waves like this?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a ripper, Kurt. I'm just a regular guy. But for days like this, you hope for. All you hope for is one really good one. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But a lot of I don't know. I'm probably not the guy to ask, In fact, I'm kind of insulted at the question because what would be happening to me here. I'd be grabbing rail and going down a lot. But you never know. Maybe you make a good one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pruitt. Barreling lefts is not exactly my forte. But this peak straight out here, the one directly into the glare, is definitely squaring up pretty good. And it's kind of a rip on the other side of it, and it's coming off of that and hitting there and running pretty well. There's some spitters coming off of that peak for sure. So it'll be interesting to see as the tide continues to drop. Maybe it starts washing through a little bit more up the beach, and this next section or two down the way here will turn on. And it looks like the guys are kind of getting a feel for that. You can see that they're shifted down a little bit from where we were an hour or so ago. And this one's up the beach, maybe starting to stretch out a little too much to make. But again, maybe that's me talking for me surfing rather than some of the guys that are out here that know what they're doing. But it's great to see everybody out here on the beach. It's a beautiful day. Yesterday it was pretty windy. Some of the outer bands of Hurricane Jose at the time passed by us and gave us a little bit of rain. It had that kind of nor'easter feel for us. Kind of cool. North and northeast winds, a little bit of rain, a couple spits. But today, that has all changed. Sky's a nice blue, as blue as Mark Beatty's shirt. And yeah, everyone's out here just taking advantage of the surf. This is exactly what we want. Hurricane Jose, now Tropical Storm Jose, staying off the coast, sending the surf and not the destruction. That's a good one. I can't tell who that was, but someone that's very happy. They got their one wave. Elusive white whale wave.
Yeah, I want to surf right now.
Ooh, somebody on the right. You see that? I thought I was out there for a second trying to find the right amongst the lefts. That peak down there, this set's been pretty good for that little stretch. Kind of straightened out up front here. So we should see the swell pretty much hold today. It might drop a little bit here into the afternoon, but I think most of the changes inside are going to be related to the tide. As the tide drops, a lot of times you'll get a little bit smaller. Some of that swell decays on its way in here. But there should still be plenty of barrels. The winds look like they're going to stay favorable. And there'll be plenty of that here for the rest of the day. That's for sure. In the next couple of days, Tropical Storm Jose, which doesn't have the most spectacular satellite appearance this morning. Actually, it looks more like an extratropical system. But regardless of whether it is or it isn't, it's going to continue to send swell down to us out of the northeast, send east swell to Long Island with pretty favorable conditions. And, it just looks like we're going to have several days of surf up and down the East Coast. First from Jose and the remnants of Jose. And then also a couple days down the way for Hurricane Maria. We got Jesse Hines here on the beach. Looks like he opted for the quad setup today. Look at that smile. Surf and spoon. Boss man is reporting late to work today.
Thank you. Thanks, Jesse. He just gave me props on something I wrote. I can't remember what it was because I've just been constantly pumping out hurricane stories every day, every night. Damage stories, swell stories. I'll surf eventually. How's this down the beach? Gosh, it's just a bonanza, man. Guys getting blown out. I haven't seen one guy get burned the whole session. That's cool. Is that Justin Cote? What's up, Justin? It's Pruitt. It's Pruitt. Good to see you. Welcome. Yep. There's Justin Cote here. Super ambassador. Yeah, it's good ones. Justin Cote, brother of Chris Cote, one of the original visionary members of the Trans World Dynasty. Now he's working for Super and looks like he's out hanging in. Jesse Hines, Brett Barley, getting him a piece of pumping Outer Banks. So good to see you, Justin. Oh, I love how these waves are just staying open, you know? It's not about if the wave will shut down, it's about if you're going fast enough. What's that they say? There are no fast waves, only slow surfers. You know what else? Good surfers don't fall. They crash. That's the difference. Yeah, man. I hope we're getting some somewhat supportive comments. For myself, it's like a starter kit to a midlife crisis. Yeah, you can't take the internet too seriously when it comes to public response. You just kind of got to do what you got to do, and I think most people appreciate what we do here, Kurt. You know, forecasting and editorial, and we run their photos and their videos, and hopefully everybody feels good by the end of the day.
What's that? I did, yeah. Yeah.
And there's still bombs out the back.
I didn't want to surf. So I went to the doctor. He said it's like a grade 2. I got a couple more weeks. They got me doing some exercise, like, yeah, stuff. Yeah, when I hurt my knee. Yeah, that was it. So I haven't surfed it all since then.
Kurt's chatting it up with Brad Beach down here. Want to congratulate Brad on a wonderful event down there in Wrightsville Beach, the Reefs, O'Neill Sweetwater Pro-Am Surf Fest. Brad's put a lot of work into that event and grows every year, and they luck out with good surf every year too. Rob Kelly won that event this year. Rob's down here somewhere. Might be out here. Might be further south. Man, there are some good waves out here right now. Meanwhile, out the back. God, even the bad waves are good. Yeah, we try to make people happy, you know, Kurt. That's the primary goal. Keep people stoked and keep them informed what's going on in the world of surf and the forecasting elements, so they can put themselves in the right window. You know, it's not Surfline's goal to out spots, to make everywhere more crowded, to expose secrets. That's not our deal. But if it happens, we want to show it.
Yeah, I think that fundamentally goes back to our founder, you know, Sean Collins. You know, one of his big things was helping people, you know, work through their schedules and you know, just kind of know when to go. You know, like, okay, is it going to be worth me going today? Is it not? Is it worth me traveling somewhere? You know, all those kind of things. And you know, we hold to that same mantra of, you know, it's about finding good surf, putting people on good surf, but not being traffic cops and you know, showing people exactly like, hey, you should go surf. I don't know, Scorpion Bay today or something like that. That's not what our goal is, and that's not what we do. You know, our job as forecasters is to just give you the straight deal of it's going to be this big, the winds are going to be this, the tide's going to be that, and you use that information with your prior knowledge to determine kind of which spot that means will be best. Especially here on the East Coast, you know, you can drive around and, you know, sometimes the sand's not right or stuff like that. You just got to put in the time to do it. So, yeah, we just do what we can, say what the surf's going to be like, and then once we do that, we'll show you the photos of what it was like. We'll write the words about what went down, and then we'll do it all over again. So, but there's definitely everyone that's getting out of the water here has got some pretty big smiles on their faces, that's for sure. Some good waves being ridden here. Starting to be maybe a few more rips kind of pushing through the lineup related to that lower tide. A lot of times as that sets keep pouring through here, that water tries to get out, and one way to do that is to form a little rip current. And those things push down the beach. Sometimes you can get in a little weird zone for a little bit, but pop out of those. And I guess in Porto they always talk about getting into the clean water, and that that's the secret, is finding that area where you're not stuck in a rip and you can get to the bottom and pull into one of these things. It's 9:37 local time, and it is still pumping. It's been pumping all morning. We did check a couple other spots to get a feel for, what would be the best stretch. And our man here on the ground, Brett Barley, put us on, and Fisher Heavily, put us on this nice stretch of sand here somewhere on Hatteras Island. And if you've been here, you know that a lot of times you can tell how good it is by how many cars are around. But a lot of times that's not what you want to do. You want to kind of maybe sneak a mile or so down the beach, get away from the crowd, and find that spot that's just as perfect. And as we're sitting here looking up the beach, you can see it's just detonating all the way up. I mean, there's ones up the beach, down the beach, in the middle of the beach that are just pretty square. Like I spoke about a couple minutes ago, one of the things that we really like here is mid-period swell. We definitely don't like longer period stuff. It tends to close out our beaches and the outer sandbars turn on, and it just gets kind of weird. And we really like mid-period stuff between the 9 to 12 second range or so. And when basically that, and then you get fun waves when it's 4 to 7 foot of deep water swell. You get much more than that. That's when it starts really turning on and kind of hitting the inside ledge and doing stuff like that, just squaring up and spitting. That was a good one. So yeah, we like shorter to mid-period stuff. Swell heights, today it's at the 11-foot range. It's in the 8-foot range, which is right around where we would like. It's 8 foot at 11 on the Oregon Inlet buoy. And we have northwest to west northwest winds here, straight offshore where we're currently at. And the Outer Banks bends a little bit, so it might be offshore here, might be kind of side shore somewhere else. We also have some south-facing beaches here, which turned on the past few days. So when we get a north or northeast wind, you can head down to the south-facing beaches and it'll be offshore. So it always amazed me as a kid when I would come down here and, this side it would be 10 feet and northeast and crazy, and you go to the other side and it would be head high and just reeling less with offshore winds. It just kind of amazed me. But I was young, so I guess everything kind of amazed me when I was little. The tide is going back out, or we had a high tide at around 8 a.m. this morning. So we're starting to see a little bit more beach in front of us here, and the size may have dropped slightly. I think that's mostly due to some tidal influences, but that's just being picky because there are tons of pumping waves right now, and all the boys are out getting some good ones. And, of course, this is from what was Hurricane Jose, is now weakened into a tropical storm to our northeast, and continues to pump swell down to us. Other locations on the East Coast that are pumping today include Long Island. This morning I saw for some of the spots up there, we had a couple feet overhead in good conditions. Of course, they like northerly winds up there. She got towards eastern Long Island. I think the winds were blowing a little bit too strong for some spots. because of the proximity of Jose. But definitely some good surf for Long Island. New Jersey was also pretty good today for select spots. The wind there was a little dicey for the northern part of the state in the morning, but it's improved a little bit for the southern part of the state. And definitely seems like the guys are starting to get a better feel for what's out there and which ones to get. Matt, what are you seeing?
Yeah, man, I'm seeing a lot of made barrels. I'd estimate it's almost like 50-50 between makes and no makes, which is just absurd for East Coast beach break, you know. And but I'm seeing some really good locals go out. Pat McManus, Noah Futrell. And it's just, yeah, man, it's really, really cooking. There's just some really deep barrels. You pretty much don't think the guy's going to make it. He's gone from sight for a couple seconds, and it just gives him that little fold, and he pops out. Maybe it spits, maybe it doesn't, but yeah, everybody that's walking past, Lucas Jolly, Dallas Tolson, and just got the biggest smiles on their faces. They're pumped. Shh. It's firing. There's no other way to put it. No matter where you live in the world, you would come here, you'd be like, yeah, it's firing. Looks like Super Tubos or something, Portugal. So yeah, that was Kurtz, lead forecaster, filling us in on the data and stats and what's going on out here in the North Atlantic right now. Oh, and he makes it. Oh, my goodness. And out the back, another. Goes down. A right. The first right I've seen. And that's why. Yeah, you can just see the bend in the swell, how it's just hugging the sandbar and kind of pulls in and then bends out and then goes below sea level here. And best of luck to all the competitors at the ESA Eastern Surfing Championships going down at Jeanette's Pier right now. I know Mez is up there, posted up, shooting daily, posting daily. Hopefully he can break away during the geriatric kneeboard division and come shoot some free surfing. I don't even know if they do kneeboard anymore. A kneeboard would probably be a pretty good surf craft to use today, actually. We got a couple of them around here. Do all right. Saw Simon Hetrick from Maryland Grom. Really good tube rider. Seeing him already get a few good ones. And it's just constant, man. Doesn't let up. There's this corner. It's just gorgeous, the setup. Really thick. Looks like we got Matt Lusk, Outer Banks surf photographer. Oliver Kurtz, busting our balls.
You won a minute ago, you snuck out of?
Zach Badoin.
I don't think we got it. What are you getting out there?
I'm saying.
You getting right? Huh? Get A? Couple rights? I know. My knee hurts. Are you? Give me one more.
Matt Lusk is out there getting a few waves. I think he might get his gear in a little bit and swim out. Incredible water photographer. And there's just guys getting drained and blown out. It's happening so frequently and so relentlessly, we don't even know who's doing what. The glare is kind of keeping us from IDing everybody off the spot, and then they spend the rest of their ride deep in the barrel, so you don't see them. But I'm sure everybody will be watching the live later, picking themselves out. I didn't even know Quentin was out the other day when we shot the point until later. But I'm not making excuses. These guys are doing a great job out here. Steep and deep, tucking under the lip, getting blown out over and over and over. Meanwhile, way out the back, two guys getting dealt. So the good news is if you lose your heat at Easterns today, you can come down here and get barreled. Oh, how's this layback? 70 style. You don't see a lot of those anymore. It's a circus in all the best ways today. Very entertaining. Looks like there's plenty to go around for everyone. Yeah, I don't know who just tried to say this is a secret spot there, Kurt. I mean, there's only 7,000 cars on the side of the road. At least when I got here. Now it's probably 10,000. It's Hatteras. That's all we ever said. It's Hatteras. Take your pick. 25 miles of somewhere. You ever notice that the same people that complain about secret spots are the same people that paddle around with GoPros in their mouth and hashtag the name of the spot at 6 o'clock in the morning? Hypocrisy has run rampant in our culture. It's gotten really weird.
Yeah. There's definitely been some guys getting some good ones off that peak up there. That seems to be kind of the spot right now, but everybody's kind of pushing everybody too deep, it seems like a little bit. But
well, I think when you have the level of talent out in the water as we have today, it's everybody kind of gets their gem off the bat, you know, within the first half hour, and then after that it's like, well, how do I one up it? And it's like, okay, well, a made tube isn't good enough. Now I got to get a blown out of one. I got to get a board length back. I got to stay in there for 3 seconds. So they just kind of the aces kind of feed off each other and force each other deeper and deeper just to see who can get the crazy one. I think that was kind of the story of the point the other day too. There were plenty of good ones, but you know, the best guys, they don't want a good one. They want a crazy one. Because what's a great ride to me and you is kind of mediocre to them. Just given their experience. And it looks like we got the Glenn brothers, Matthew and Daniel from New Smyrna Beach. Yeah, a lot of Florida in the house today. And it's been really good down there too. Some of the shots at Spanish House and Chernobyl's were ridiculous. I think I saw a 15-foot wave at Jack's Pier. Yeah, that swell that turned on Florida last week, I believe it was Tuesday after Irma moved through, was actually a combo of some long period Jose swell, some long period 14, 15 second, long period for us, 14 to 15 second east-southeast swell from Jose, mixing in with some indirectly related swell from Irma, northeast swell. So that combination of the mid-period northeast and that long period east-southeast, just offshore winds, just turned on Florida. I heard people claiming that it was the best since that week in 2015. I think it was around Joaquin, or heck, I can't remember. Those storms all kind of blend together for me after doing this for 12 years. So, but yeah, they were claiming it was some of the best surf they've seen in central and northern Florida in a very long time. So
that was great for them, you know, after having to deal with the stress and the damage from Hurricane Irma to be able to release some of that pent-up energy and get out there and get some surf. And, you know, in addition to everyone impacted by Irma in Florida and the Caribbean, you know, we're definitely thinking about those in Puerto Rico and St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, and, you know, that are dealing with Hurricane Maria today. Very scary situation down there when you have a landfalling Category 4, Category 5 hurricane, obviously.
You know, there's a real easy way to deal with all that guilt, Kurt. Just log on to wavesforwater.org, donate a little bit to the cause. You know, you get a good wave, you go home, you donate $5. If 500 people do that, then, well, you do the math. I was an English major for a reason, but oh my goodness, yeah. Yep. Yeah, the thing down the beach isn't, it's pretty much focusing on one area now, as opposed to you know, a 300-yard stretch of sand now. Now it's all kind of this one death peak. But if you were Misto, you could just sit down on the side, wait for one that swings, and get pitted out of sight. That's the way to do it, in my mind. Try to keep your hood up and your mouth shut and stay out of sight. And, you know, whether you get one really good barrel or 100, it doesn't really matter, because you don't remember any of them anyway, you know. 5 years down the line, like you say, all the storms blend together, the swells blend together, even the waves blend together. And you kind of remember what went down, you remember the vision, you remember how fast you're going, the chatter on your rail, something like that. But in the end, it's a lifetime of surfing is like an hourglass out of time. You know what? What else would you be doing? What better way is there to spend your time and life and memories other than in the ocean with your friends, surfing? Feeling all that ergonomic function and hydrodynamic principles and science and art and craftsmanship and nature and atmospheric anomalies all coming together in one moment. You know, as Sean Thompson say, time slows down in the tube. So, Kurt, what do you think we can expect for the rest of the day and even tomorrow?
Yeah, so Tropical Storm Jose is still up to our northeast, and we've seen some pretty strong winds still associated with that system. So we are going to expect the surf to come down some in size for tomorrow, but for the rest of the day today, I think we're going to hold pretty steady. I do think around the lower tide, which is maybe around 2 p.m., we're going to see it get a little more drained out and maybe a little bit smaller. We shouldn't see too much of a change on the buoys, so I'm thinking it's still going to be pretty good even into this afternoon. With this tiny strip of sandbar that we're on here, like literally I can look off to the side here and I can see the sound. Winds are very difficult to predict here on the Outer Banks. As I'm sure, Matt, you've seen a lot of times where you are, it could be offshore, and 2 miles up it could be onshore, and then a mile down it could be side shore. So it's definitely a finicky kind of sandbar here, but it does look like we're going to see offshore winds through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. I did see some indications that we could see the winds trend more southwest later in the day, which would make it kind of semi-clean, not as groomed out as it is right now, but definitely still manageable. Kind of blowing into some of these lefts a little more, though. So I think it's going to be a great day of surf. This sandbar will be interesting to see what happens when the tide bottoms out, but the incoming coming back in, I feel like it's still going to be pretty darn good. Look like Fisher there taking a late drop. And then for tomorrow, it does look like we'll see a window of favorable winds for some spots down here on the Outer Banks. And because Jose is going to kind of sit there and spin, it does look like it's going to probably lose its tropical characteristics and become an extratropical cyclone here in the next few days. But that really doesn't impact our surf outlook. It's kind of inconsequential as far as how much waves we're going to get sent back down to us. So we should actually see some northeast swell build back in here later in the week and into the weekend. But our major question then is going to be, are our winds going to cooperate? And you have to go to surfline.com to find out the answer to that one, because I will be working on the forecast here later this morning and over the afternoon to bring you the latest, not only from Jose, but also Hurricane Marie, which looks to move north of the Greater Antilles over the next 24 hours. It's currently tracking through Puerto Rico right now. So our thoughts are with all those impacted by Hurricane Marie. Here at the beach, we're still hanging around 8 feet of swell at 11 seconds out of the northeast. That combined with these offshore northwest to west-northwest winds, producing some pretty hollow square lefts. I see the occasional regular foot trying to sneak one of those rights, but that's not really worth it compared to what you can get on those lefts. But we've definitely seen it change a lot here, even in the 2 hours or so that we've been on live. It went from being kind of straight out in front to a little north, and now it's spread out a little further all the way up, a half mile or so up the beach. And this kind of end section right here doesn't seem to be working as well currently, but that could be because there's kind of a little rip moving through. So no shortage of swell, that's for sure. And our sandbars are handling it pretty well today, which is always nice to see, because after you have a big blow like we did yesterday, sometimes sand moves around and not in a good way. So it's great to see this strip of sand here delivering the goods. And I haven't looked at what the wind observations are up the beach, up in town, but I'm sure there's some good waves up that way for Easterns, Jeanette's Pier. And I know some of our friends to the northeast of us on Long Island and New Jersey are also seeing the goods. If you hear some of that noise in the background, that's actually them clearing out the parking lot here. We had some overwash last night during the high tide and pushed some of that newly replenished sand up over the dune and into the parking lot here where we are. And on my drive down this morning, I definitely had to drive through a little bit of salt water because we had some overwash up in Pea Island and in parts of Rodanthe, also in the Kinnikeet stretch of Avon, and a little bit down in the Buxton area too, from what I understand. So it's a pretty common occurrence when we have these storms that pass to our east. We get really strong northerly winds as they pass, and I can take a lot of that sound water, push it down towards the Frisco, Avon, and Buxton area, and then also we can get some pretty strong overwash from the ocean side as well, and that can close the beach. So there was actually a period at a time yesterday where the beach was, or the road was closed. We got Lugo down here. He's gonna swim back out there and try to get a few. You have anything to say, Pruitt?
Yeah, I'm Nicola Lugo, fantastic water photographer from South Florida. Really good bodyboarder, well-traveled. He shot that Panama score with Corey and Brett and Robbie McCormick, published on Surfline a few months ago. And he's been posted up here in Hatteras hanging with the real guys, and he says he's going to be here all fall. So it's good to have him here. Can't wait to see what kind of images he comes up with from today. I think it's safe to say we're going to be doing another swell story somewhat soon. Thanks to all the photographers and videographers who've been submitting for East Coast content. You know, we really want looks like it's getting a little more drainy with the tide, Kurt, but there's a bomb out the back, and it is just going to choose a certain corner of the sandbar. There's still plenty of ways. If you pick the right corner, you can get the wave of your season easily today. Maybe the wave of your year. Dana Quinn! There he is. Dana Quinn. He tells me to get off the mic and get out there, and that's a good idea. How much longer do we have on this live, guys? That's my boy right there. Yeah, he's certainly one of the best surfers we have on the Outer Banks, and he's the real deal, man. Doesn't need a camera on him, doesn't need a sponsor paying his way to everything he does. Doesn't need a lot of intel to take trips. He just does it. Works hard, 2 jobs with his dad, Mike Quinn, another Outer Banks legend, and works at Bonzer Shack as a bartender with old Chris McDonald and Matty Joyner. All 3 of those guys are they're a riot, man. But Dana likes them thick, and he likes them big, man, and he likes it cold. Wintertime, maxed out winter swells and Hatteras. Dana's always one of the key players, and he's just a killer dude all around. Yeah, I could talk about that guy all day long. All these guys, Jesse Hines, Quentin Turco, they all have really solid personalities. Kind of guy you want it in a foxhole with you if it comes down to it. Gabe Moorville and Bo Rayner are up from Wrightsville. What's up, Groms? Gabe looks like he's riding a 6'9". He probably got that lesson from Ben Bourgeois, who was owning it at this spot last winter on a 6'10", scooping them. Yeah, big boards are back, Kurt.
That's good, because that's about all I ride, it seems like. I might ride a little bit more volume than you, Pruitt. There's still plenty of waves coming through, and it's definitely just a matter of kind of picking the right one and finding that little corner on it. But like we were saying, everybody that's getting out's got big smiles on their faces. You know, no hassling. Everybody's getting their waves, and that's what it's all about. You know, we definitely, you know, you see the guys from Florida, the guys from Southern North Carolina, the guys from Virginia. You know, you see the same faces kind of all the time. Straight out. There's a bomb right here. Is that Jesse?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, hon.
Nice. Got one right behind it, too. That's a bomb. Oh. Another one. Look at that end section. Wow. There's a bomb right behind it. Slam on the brakes. Wow. I don't think I would have put the brakes on there. I think I would have been trying to find my way out of that. But that's why I'm up here, and that's why they're out there, I guess.
That's not why you're up here. You're up here. It's the same reason I'm up here, because we're working, because we were asked to do this, and we're going to do it. And you do what you say you're going to do. You know? And it gets better around here a lot more than you think. It doesn't just take a hurricane swell to light this place up. I know you're a big fan of those cheeky low pressures, Kurt.
Yes, sir. I definitely am shorter period south wind swell kind of guy. There's Jesse Hines getting out of the water with a huge smile on his face after that last wave. Rightfully so. That was one of the better ones we've seen today. But yeah, I definitely like those shorter period wind swells. And I think most of us do. You know, I mean, less closeouts to kind of worry about, and our sand holds it a lot better. And yeah, so that set that just came through is kind of working a rip through the main part of the lineup here. But we got some more sets out the back, so we'll see what happens. I guess in Chopu they have the black water sets. I guess we got the brown water ones here. Or should I leave the funny commentary to you and stick to the meteorology?
Not funny.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about it. Except my face.
So, So I do have the latest information on Hurricane Maria, which is centered over northern Puerto Rico as of 10 a.m. this morning. It is 20 miles west of San Juan and 20 miles east-southeast of Arecibo. Maximum winds are still 145 miles an hour. It's moving northwest at 13. They say there was a sustained wind in Arecibo of 78 miles an hour, but I'm sure some of the stations have been knocked out, both power and internet. If you've been down to Puerto Rico, you know that sometimes that internet is a little finicky. It tends to go out when the wind blows, or the sun shines, or the showers pass through. It's definitely, so at times, not the most dependable, but our thoughts and prayers are with all those down there being impacted by Hurricane Maria. You know, obviously, we want all of what we're seeing out in front of us here, and none of the negative impacts that come with any type of landfalling system, whether it's a tropical storm, a hurricane, or some of the catastrophic hurricanes we've seen this year so far.
Southwest.
Definitely, it doesn't take a huge one to do damage. Some of the tropical storms that drop insane amounts of rain can be just as deadly as Category 2 hurricane, Category 3 hurricane. Not only that, but it doesn't have to actually hit you, as we saw here last year. Hurricane Matthew, the center stayed offshore, but outer rain band actually set up over parts of the Outer Banks, and we had some really bad flooding up in Nags Head. Impacted several of the businesses that the surf community holds near and dear, including the Surf and Spoon and Farm Dog Surf School and some of the spots there. And Nags Head were seeing just an incredible amount of flooding, and it's great to see them back on their feet. And we had a great year this summer. Actually, a decent amount of surf throughout the summer. We saw some fun. Saw that one Southern Hemisphere swell. It was the same swell that Mr. Brett Barley chased down to Skeleton Bay. That actually came up here and produced several days of waves for us, including pumping surf at the Mickey McCarthy paddle out that we had at Bonnet Street in Nags Head. Of course, Mickey McCarthy is the iconic surf photographer. Outer Banks, just OG from back in the day. Photographer, shaper, surf shop owner, and probably the nicest man you could ever possibly meet. He was a true gem, and I know the Surfline team was thankful that we got to spend the time that we did with him, and he actually did some surf reports for us prior to his passing, and it was always great to see him come into our Nags Head office and bring that infectious smile with him, and just listen to stories and see what Mickey had to say. So he's dearly missed, and our thoughts are with his wife Betsy, and I know he'd be loving it right now, but he would actually be up at Easterns shooting probably from Jeanette's Pier right now, getting some shots, and huge smile, give you a big thumbs up every time you got a wave, even if you cooped it like I normally did. It was greatly appreciated every time you got to see him, and you know, the next day you'd open your mailbox up or your email, and sure enough, there'd be a zip file from Mickey saying that you got some great shots. So he's greatly missed, and all around great guy.
We're good? Yeah, because I have to.
So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Matt Pruitt, I guess I'm going to sign off for him because he's already running down the steps to go get his board. Understandably so. He's been doing jumping jacks off to the side here, getting warmed up. So it'll be great to see him out in the lineup after doing the commentary for the past few hours. So again, this is the Surfline Live from the Outer Banks, from the Jose Swell. So if you could like our Facebook page, you'll get notified when next time we go live, and you can see also us on our YouTube channel, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll know when we go live again. And hopefully you've enjoyed this. We've seen some great waves. I guess I'm going to go sit and knock out this forecast and figure out when we'll see surf like this again, not only here on the Outer Banks, but all along the East Coast. So from all of us at Surfline, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great Wednesday. Hope you get some waves. And for all those in the Caribbean, stay safe, and our thoughts are with you.